Hello, William Rose here. Just doing my Module 8 experiment and my follow-up video for that experiment. So this week, again, we had two experiments. We had the slime time, and then we also had the second part, which trying to find the name of it real quick, sorry. Determining the molar mass for freezing point, from freezing point. So I'm just kind of cleaning up everything here. I performed my experiment in the main part of the garage this week. Overall, kind of a success. I had a little bit of issues with the silly putty. It was like hard as a rock. It smelled like grape though, so that was kind of a win. But we'll start off, we'll give you a little bit of an overview. So I have emergency exit here at the main door. I've also got a door there for garage, and then I've got the side exit door with a fire extinguisher over in that corner. And then I've also got the main entrance into the house. So we are still kind of finishing moving and everything, so part of the mess, but that's pretty much that. I also have dry absorbent material over there, push brooms, vacuum shop, pretty much anything that you could possibly need. And then we have water wash station directly in that door on the right. Okay, so we'll go into this lab, kind of the follow-up. So I have my Mod8 solutions. I went through the MSDS for each individual one. No real major threats. Borax had a little bit of physical hazard, which I annotated. I had all the PPE per the MSDS. I had my spill response per the MSDS. We didn't really have a fire risk this week. However, I still annotated ABC fire extinguisher just as a precautionary measure, which covers everything that we could possibly do in these labs. So in the first experiment, basically we made a slime, and then we saw how each individual chemical from the ball pen, the highlighter, the dry eraser, and the permanent marker, how they reacted to both the slime that we created with borax, and then the borax and guargum, and then how it reacted with the silly putty as well. So I did have an issue with the newspaper because I had to find one, basically. And the one that I did got had a bunch of narcotic stuff. Please ignore that. That has nothing to do with me. That's just what they put in the newspaper. But finally found some newspaper, and the newspaper pulled really easily, very little time. The slime, actually here we'll show the results. So I separated each individual section with a pencil, and then I applied the slime, and then I applied the silly putty as well. So on the newspaper, I picked it up right off the bat. So I did not do a trial 2 and 3 per the instructions. Highlighter picked up right off the bat. The pen, I had a little bit of bleeding that started. So I annotated the started bleeding, and then in trial 2 and 3, I annotated full bleeding. Permanent marker, I had no change on any of the 3 trials. Dry erase marker, I had no change. I thought I had a little bit of bleeding, but then I did the dry erase marker actually a few more times than just the 3, and it was just bleeding within the paper. So I did not annotate that. So with the silly putty, like I said, my silly putty was kind of already open on the ends. It still had the plastic around the center, but it was hard as a rock. Did smell like grape, which I liked, I guess. But newspaper had no change on any of them. Highlighter, no change. The pen, no change. Marker, no change. And then the dry erase marker, trial 3, I let it sit for a while, and I got a little bit of faint dry erase marker that came up with it. As far as the chromatography test in table 7, performed that. I had the 250 milliliter beaker, I had the filtration paper, the wick, and the water per the instructions, and I let it bleed. I let it sit for about 30 minutes, and then I measured the distance. It didn't like full on move as far as like the dot was here, and now it's like it was an A and now it's a B. It's more like a giant bleed. But total travel distance of movement For the highlighter, I got 1 centimeter. For the uniball, 1 centimeter. And I would say that's kind of like an omnidirectional. I did it in all segments. The permanent marker, I got 0.25 centimeters. And then the dry erase did not move, is what that is indicating. And then we go on to the second part, the freezing point depression, MSDS here as well. We won't spend any time on that. Physical hazards, I had the sharp edges, broken glass. Really didn't have anything else other than what would normally be outside as far as like electricity in my garage or hot, cold surfaces. I mean, we are working with freezing temperatures, so I guess I could say cold surfaces. No heat sources, open flames, but I do still have fire extinguishers. Personal protective equipment, I disposable nitrile gloves. I have the lab coat that came with the kit, and spill response, just following the guidelines in the MSDS, and safety gloves. Obviously, I just always use them. I'm kind of in the habit of doing that. I was along with safety goggles, class A, B, C fire extinguisher, just as I always have it available. And then for the freezing point, molarity for the glycerol, I had 2.85. The NaCI, which, let me just double check here. Right here. I don't have them all memorized. Sodium chloride, I had 2.016. Let's see, calcium chloride, I had 0.717. Molality, which I guess I don't really say that very often, 88.4 grams per mole. I had the sodium chloride at 39.68 grams per mole, and then the calcium chloride at 111.6 grams per mole. And then my Van Hoff factors, I had 1, 1, 2, 2.71. Freezing points, I tried to capture freezing points, water, 0. Glycerol, I had negative 5.3 Celsius. The sodium chloride, I had a negative 7.5. And the calcium chloride, I had negative 4. And then as far as molar mass, getting the theoretical versus the calculated. Theoretical at 92.09 for glycerol. For sodium chloride, I had 58.44, and then calcium chloride, I had 110.98. All of them are relatively close, within a 5% margin, except for my sodium chloride. I had a 67.9. So I'm probably going to go back in, double check my theoreticals, go over my calculated again, just to make sure that is accurate to what I have. But yeah, I showed 95%. I showed a 0.005% differential on the glycerol. I'm so happy with those. And then my photos, obviously, I'll upload from my phone onto the website. So overall, success. Thank you.